Right then guys, so a bit of a different video today. This one's going to be part of a series that's going to come along. This will probably be the shortest of the videos because it's the introduction. But it's a video that's, for me anyway, been a very, very long time coming. So in 5 days, I think it is, or on Wednesday coming, I will be going in for gyno surgery, gynecomastia, gland excision, weird word. This is something I've been waiting for quite a long time, but wanted to do a bit of a video on it because this is something that I think a lot more guys struggle with than we probably know and will probably admit to it, to be fair. It's taken me a very long time to get to the point where I can openly kind of talk about it. It's, especially in a bodybuilding world, it's a little bit stigmatized against for drug abuse reasons. Obviously, people in the bodybuilding world will know that a lot of guys will get this because of steroid abuse and lack of knowledge in what they're doing with steroids. But there are guys like me, which I'll get into in a little bit, that are they suffer with it for different reasons. So on Wednesday, I will be going in for surgery. It will be local anaesthetic, so I'm going to be awake for the whole thing, which is wonderful. Yeah, it's gland excision on both sides, so they're removing the full gland from both my nipples, basically, pull it out. And in theory, you shouldn't ever really get it again. I think it's like a 1 in 500% chance. So for me, like I said a little bit earlier, a little bit different to how most bodybuilders get gyno. So I actually had this since I was, I think, 16, 17, long before I got into bodybuilding or into steroids. So I got this from puberty, thank you Mother Nature. It's something that I have struggled with, honestly, since about, I think 17 is probably when it really kicked in for me. I was a bit of an awkward kid anyway. I had wonky shoulders. I had enough going on to make me feel awkward, especially in tight t-shirts. Then this kind of kicked in, which you kind of deal with. But during bodybuilding, I thought growing some muscle would get rid of it, or at least hide it a little bit. And to be honest, it did when I was a little bit leaner. But as I kind of got into bodybuilding and started putting more size on, the body fat obviously goes up in off seasons, you're growing, and that can aggravate it as well. And obviously the darker side of growing muscle, particularly competitive bodybuilding, is steroids, which is where most guys will develop it. I, particularly in my early years, wasn't so educated with steroids. I did push some numbers, not to what some people do. Like, I've genuinely never breached more than a gram of anything, just never done it. But I'm very, very, very sensitive to test. I literally don't use much at all now. Partly because of this, partly just because I don't need it. And obviously that early years of using it and lack of knowledge has aggravated this to make it even worse than what it already was. But this is, honestly, I've been waiting for this surgery since probably I found out that you can get rid of it. I think I was around 21 when I found out you could get rid of it. So kind of 5 years ago now. So I've been waiting for this surgery for a long time, traveling up to London for it. Obviously, at the time of recording this video, we are still in a national lockdown, which, because obviously I'm driving for medical purposes, I can go and have the surgery done, which works out really well because gyms are closed. So I've got recovery time and I have no reason to kind of stress about it. Can't go to the gym. So this is a really, really good time for me to get the surgery done. I can force myself into the 4 weeks recovery. Somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks is kind of what's recommended. I will obviously go with what the doctor says. I'm not going to push this at all. It's quite a pricey surgery. So for me, it was, how much? It was enough to put a dent in my financial plans for a little while. But this is something, like I said, that I've been kind of waiting for 5 years. I've been suffering with for just short of 10 years. So it is a really, really big thing for me. And this little series is going to go over surgery day, probably not in the hospital. Not sure if I'm going to be allowed to record. I really don't think I will, but definitely on the journey up there, and as long as I'm feeling okay on the way back. And then the steps to my recovery, how things go, kind of a couple of days post-surgery and what will happen with the recovery going forward, up to the point in which I can return to a gym or to exercise, depending on whether gyms are open by the time I'm fully recovered or whether I'm kind of just doing home workouts and trying to build back that way. I will be quite open and honest with everything throughout this series. As you can tell, it's something I'm still not 100% confident talking about. It still bothers me a little bit, which is why I'm saying quite a lot, still kind of nervous about it. It is something that is heavily stigmatized against. And I know a lot of bodybuilders that go for the surgery and don't ever really say anything because, like I said, it's not something that people like to talk about. I am going to be quite open and honest with this. I will show the before surgery, so I'm going to do a video of how I look first thing in the morning before going in for surgery. Then obviously record bits going up to there, how do I feel, what's going on, and then as long as I feel okay coming out of the surgery, in the car after on the way home, I will be released same day because it's local anaesthetic, like I said, so I get to sit awake for the whole surgery. Just wonderful. For those that know me personally, I don't really like surgeries. I do anything to avoid them, but voluntarily going in for one, that'd be fun. But this will be, it'll be the full recovery that will get videoed as well. So I'm going to talk about absolutely everything. I'll show you kind of all the steps that I go through for my recovery. I will also be doing a podcast with James, who I normally do my podcast with, at some point just after the surgery, which will go into depth, and we will open it up for question and answers as well. So anyone that's got any questions, we're actually going to be doing this podcast. He's going to read the questions to me. And we'll be really, really honest with this. I have literally got nothing to hide. Like I said, mine has been aggravated by steroids, but wasn't necessarily caused by that. So if watching this video, you feel that this is something that you suffer with as well, just reach out. It is something that sadly I am very accustomed to. But this is also a series to show you guys that if this really does bother you and you do suffer with it, there is actually something you can do. Living in the UK, obviously, we have the NHS, and this isn't necessarily something that's covered by the NHS. You can, from what I understand, have it done on the NHS, but you've got to prove somehow that this is really, really negatively impacting your life. I think you've got to be at a point where you're pretty much lactating, which some guys apparently do, which when I kind of looked into this a little bit more, I didn't actually realize that men can get that far, but apparently you can. And I think if you get to that stage, you can probably get this done on the NHS. I've gone private with this. Obviously, I'm not at a stage where I'm lactating, not that I've ever noticed anyway. And I've gone for one of the top surgeons in the UK. This is all he does. This is his sole purpose and job, is this surgery. He has very, very, very good reviews. The name is Dr. Nusan. I'll put a link in this. I can't remember the name perfectly well. It's getting quite late at night as I'm recording this. But yeah, he's got some of the top reviews on the internet for the UK anyway. And he's got a lot of case studies on Trustpilot that you can scroll through and see what other people have had with him. And I cannot find a negative review anywhere. And I've really looked, because this is something that is really, really big to me. Obviously, being a competitive bodybuilder as well, this shape that comes after the surgery is really important. So I've really put time into looking into this and seeing what the options are in the UK, because obviously we know out in America and Canada and places like that, there's some fantastic surgeons for things like this. We don't really talk so much about it in the UK. So I have really put some time into, into looking into this and seeing what is available in the UK. And this guy definitely comes out on top for our UK surgeons. So I'm really, really happy that I'm going with him. Like I said, it is costing quite a bit of money, but this is something that will pay dividends in the long run, not only for bodybuilding, but I can't remember the last time I ever put on a tight t-shirt and actually felt comfortable in any way, shape or form. Even with a jacket over it, it's still something that's always sat in my mind. Can people see it? If I look down and I can see it, see droopy nipples, it's something that's bothered me for years. So like on a competitive side, I'm looking forward to not having it on stage, but hell, I can't wait just to put a tight t-shirt on and not feel self-conscious. And I know, particularly being a bodybuilder, I probably see it a lot worse than others do. Some might not even notice it, but having that thought in my head that other people can see it has really impacted my life, particularly since I got into bodybuilding, where you do put muscle on, you do look better than what you did previously. And it's something that a lot of guys want to show off, and I'm no different in that. I like the fact that I've put, now recording this video, I was looking this morning, I've put 79 pounds on since I started bodybuilding 6 or 7 years ago. That's a huge amount of weight. Not all of it is muscle, but most of it is. And that's something I'm extremely proud of, and yet I can't go outside in a tight t-shirt because this is something that I'm so self-conscious about. So anyone that knows me personally will know that I train in baggy t-shirts, I walk around in baggy t-shirts, or baggy clothes in general, to be fair. But everything I wear will purposely be loose fitted. So if I have a particularly bad day with the gyno, it doesn't show as much. And I do, for some reason, seem to have better days than other where it doesn't show as much. I think it also depends on the body fat I'm at, but I've been show ready on show day before and still had it looking really bad. That was probably when my usage was a little bit higher. Yeah, that was my second show actually, back in 2018. I still had really bad gyno on the day of the show, and that was probably down to the usage. It was before I met my current coach, who's radicalized the way that I look at steroid usage. Really scaled me back, but that's a different video completely. But there are good days and bad days with it. It is something that does fluctuate for me. So yeah, this surgery is a long time coming. This video series will go all the way up until, like I said, the first day back in the gym properly. Not necessarily first session, but the first time I train chest. And then probably, as long as I remember, I'll do one kind of 3 or 4 months post-surgery to show you, once I'm fully back in the gym, I really hope that in 3 months' time, that gyms will be fully open. But yeah, I will be doing a full video, kind of day of surgery, a couple of days after, a week after, probably 3 or 4 weeks after that. And then I've got my review 2 weeks after the surgery with the surgeon, with Dr. Nusan. He will then tell me how I'm doing, and I'll make that choice on how I'm going to approach training after that, and then we'll go from there. And the videos will just kind of follow just how things are going. If questions pop up throughout this time, not all of them will be covered on the podcast. I'm only doing kind of 1 episode with James on that. So throughout this video series, if other questions do pop up, I'll address them throughout the videos. And please, if this is something that bothers you or something that does affect your life in any capacity as a bloke, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I really do understand. This is something that is very hidden in the male community. We don't talk about it as much as we should. I don't think some guys even know that there is a name for what they probably have, and there is a way of fixing this. So if this is something that affects you, don't be afraid to reach out. You've only got to drop me a message or leave me a comment and find some way of getting in contact with me. I'm pretty open and honest with everything, so I will be more than happy to address any concerns and any questions. But other than that, the next video will be in a couple of days. It will be on the Wednesday. I'll try and upload it probably the day after the surgery. I really don't think I'm going to get much done on the day of the surgery. So I'll get it done the day after. And yeah, this video series will be quite interesting, I think. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.